This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield.
All right.
Let's go. It is the 21st of July, 2020. My name is Corey Winfield, and this is the 217 Recovery Podcast. Joining me in the studio, Marnie Liston. What's up?
Hello, what's up?
What?
What's up?
Nothing. Oh, what a crazy day. I did absolutely nothing. Well, I did. No, actually, I made a cake.
Yes.
And some Sloppy Joes.
You did make Sloppy Joes. They were superb.
And I mailed back an Amazon shirt. And, I watched the Michael Jordan documentary. It's on Netflix now.
How's that?
The last, I don't know. Apparently it was so good I can't remember the name of it. And they say it like over and over. Anyway, it was good. It was really good.
Save the last?
No, because it's like Phil Jackson. They pretty much told him that 98 was his last year. They're like, we'll let you do one more year. And Michael Jordan said that, okay, well, I'm not playing for another coach, so this is probably my last year too. And the last ride, maybe. But anyway, when they came into the season and Phil Jackson handed out the playbook, he had on there, boom, the last ride, or it was way cooler than the last ride. I really hope that's not the name of it. But it was their last hurrah, like
The Last Dance?
Maybe. I mean, if I had my phone, there's a computer sitting right in front of me.
I'll look it up.
The Last Dance. That sounds familiar. But it's really good. And it just shows you, like, man, I would not want to be Michael Jordan. Like,
The Last Dance.
It is The Last Dance. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was right.
I was watching. Well, Michael Jordan, man, like, they would show him in his hotel room, and he was just like, oh, I just want to lay here on the couch and do nothing. I was like, I love it. That's what I'm doing. Exactly. And, like, people were saying, you don't understand. Like, when he leaves that hotel room, the minute he walks out until the minute he gets back in, there's just people chasing him, wanting his autograph, want to talk to him. Hey, Michael. And it was just insane. And that would get so old, like, real quick. And he was even, before he retired the first time, he's like, man, I'm so tired of this. Like, I can walk away from this right now and just be gone. And, like, I wouldn't miss any of this. Right. And, I can understand the feeling sometimes. No, but I would not want to be him. I mean, that's a lot, and, but yeah, it's good. If you're a sports fan, maybe if you're not a sports fan, it's still interesting to watch it. And the guy that filmed it, he did it like 20 years ago, and they had all this footage and putting it together. I don't know it would have been so hard to sit on that for so long. Mm-hmm. I'd have been like, it'll be out next week. I'm going to do this, and the people that they interview, and it's pretty interesting. It really is. And I'm on like episode 9 or 10. I'm right at the end. So I've done that for 10 hours today.
So you have done stuff.
Yeah, not a lot productively, though. But I did go to my first meeting yesterday in a long time, like actual meeting. Mm-hmm. Like, I've done Zoom meetings.
Like, you put your shoes on?
Yeah, I put my shoes on, and I drove, and of course I was late, because that's what I do. It was in Gaylord. People around there call it Gaylord. But, who's that? Tell myself.
Words with friends.
But yeah, and it was the first meeting I'd been to in quite some time, and I picked up a buddy of mine, Jared, who's I'm in early recovery, too. Just got my 19 months, and Jared's in early recovery. And it was cool that, I saw him last week, and I was like, hey, man, you want to go to a meeting on Monday? And I've been saying I want to go to this meeting for like the last 2 months now, and I just haven't gone. And usually last minute, I'm like, oh, I don't feel like it now, or it's raining, or there's always an excuse. And he's like, yeah, I'll go. And I'm like, all right, because if you're saying you're going, then I'm going for sure. I'm not going to back out or anything. Mm-hmm. So he's like, yeah. And then another buddy, Shane, was like, oh, yeah, I'll go too. And then Shane backed out, and he was like, yeah, I don't back out of things. Or I think it was him that said that. And so it was kind of funny that he's like, oh, now I got this going on. I'm like, yeah. And it was good, though. It was good. It was a good trip. It was like an hour and 10 minutes, something like that, maybe a little longer to get there. But it was just like old times going to meetings, with buddies. It was like a meeting before the meeting, mm-hmm. then a meeting after the meeting. So it was fun. And I actually invited a guy to go to the meeting who I know just relapsed. And that was kind of hard for me because at first I was like, yeah, I probably shouldn't. He might still be high. I don't know. And then I started thinking, well, that's the guy who probably needs to jump in a car and go to a meeting. And I don't judge him, for his recent relapse. But, and I'm not mad at him for it. It's just, it is what it is. But that's why I kind of extended the invitation to him, just like, hey, and if you want to go to a meeting. And he kind of blew me off. And first he was like, oh, yeah, it's a great idea. I'll let you know at 4:30. And then he never did. So that got me thinking, too, like, when I was at the meeting in Gaylord, I saw somebody, Mel, who mm-hmm. and, the people that she's now hanging out with, and the way Jared was like, and he had told me on the way back, he's like, I got to hang out with people who, have what I want. And the same thing with Mel, and I keep seeing pictures of her posting on Facebook with this other woman, and the other woman I know is solid in her recovery right now. So it's like, yay, like finally, like when you see people like teaming up with mm-hmm. people who are doing well, like you just want to pat them on the back and be like, good, now keep going. Mm-hmm. Yep, now you're making good decisions. And the reason why I bring that up is because that guy who recently relapsed, he's not making good decisions with who he's hanging out with, and it's the same old crowd. And I had a talk with him probably about a month ago, and I was like, man, you hanging out with the same people, like what do you think is going to happen?
Exactly.
And I don't know if he just didn't care, or he knew that that was going to happen. And then I started thinking about, the times where I would relapse, and did I know it was going to happen and I just didn't care, or did I really think I was going to get away with it that time? And I didn't have any probation or anything, but I just mean like getting away with it without my family knowing, without missing a week of college or work, or just I can do it this time, can't I? But I don't know.
The company you keep is a huge thing when you're trying to get sober.
It really is.
It's really, it's a gigantic piece of, if you think about it, it will, the day will lay out exactly how it will when you know the kinds of things that those people are up to, or doing. And like, for me, when I think back and I think about the people that I used to interact with, like I already knew kind of how I knew them. And chances were I knew them from the capacity was from something that had to do with, partying or drinking or whatever. And to think that I had anything else in common with them when I really looked back at it, I didn't really, because everything that I did involved alcohol. And so what are the chances that we would be able to hang out and take that piece away and everything would be hunky-dory, So for me, I think it's fair to say that it was always premeditated for me. I knew what I was getting into. And I think the majority of people that do that do know that, what they're getting into. Mm-hmm. It's a matter of making that decision. And that's why, and it's hard to try to find new friends and find new people to hang out with. But it's not possible. And, we're not boring people. People in recovery are not boring. You just got to find other things, that you like to do, and, find the other people that have similar interests. Mm-hmm. And recovery is one of them. You know, you don't only have to go to meetings with people. You can do other things. So it takes some work.
But meetings are fun.
I think meetings are fun.
I got like a huge rush of like dopamine. Like I felt it come on. I was just like, when I walked in and it was just like, oh, like, I don't know. It felt really good going to a meeting. It really did.
It's great.
So, yeah, it was a good time. And back to the hanging out with people and the company you keep. There's another guy who, he was actually in treatment when I was in treatment. And like the nasty Chinese place. But then he got out, then he went back out, and he's just been kind of like a ping pong, like back and forth. And it's like he wants it, but he doesn't do the things that would make you think he wants it. And each time he gets a little bit more out there, it seems. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I try to help him, and I guess he tried to go to a treatment center or something again, and his insurance or whoever was like, oh, we can't pay for that. And I don't know. And then that kind of bummed me out. And then I'm like, do I really trust what he's telling me right now? Like maybe he's just telling me what he thinks that they're going to tell him. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know. Like, has he been to that many treatment centers where they're like, yeah, that's not going to work for you, buddy? I mean, what are they waiting on him to die? Like,
right.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, and again, I don't know if he was telling me the truth. Mm-hmm. So I just told him to call the back of his card. Because I did that once. They took, I think I've told this story before, but it was the time that I had tried ice. And I was like, this is amazing stuff. This is awesome. I'm going to get some more. So I don't know where to get any more. So I started calling people that I knew, you know, sold like weed and pills and stuff like that. And I was like, hey man, you got any of this? And no. And what are you doing? If I did have it, I wouldn't sell it to you. You know, you don't want anything to do with that stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. And I remember thinking, you know, like, I could suck a penis right now for some more. And that's when I was like, well, I'm not gay, and this is bad. This is real bad, you know? So I whipped out the old insurance card, and I flipped it over and called the number on it. And I was like, yeah, I need to go to rehab immediately because I'm thinking about doing this, and I'm not even gay. And this is a problem, and I'm never going to do this again. I like it, and it's a huge problem right now. And so, you know, I still had like a couple fifths or half gallons, whatever, in front of me of alcohol, and the insurance company was a little confused, but they did what they needed to do, and they went above and beyond. They called Pine Rest in Grand Rapids and got a bed for me there, and then called the ambulance, and the ambulance came and picked me up from my apartment and took me to the hospital, where I was not a welcomed guest, but everybody knew my name, and it was kind of embarrassing. But I went to the hospital and waited for my alcohol level to come down so they could transport me to Pine Rest. And so they did. But so, I mean, that's how it worked for me. So I don't know. And like I said, they went above and beyond. And the person on the phone, they told me that, like, normally we don't do this, you know? And I was like, but I really need your help. Mm-hmm. So maybe it was the begging and pleading, like, please, I need some help. Maybe that's what did it. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Just got a good person on the line that day. But so for him, I don't know if he's telling me the truth. I don't know how hard he's really trying, but he wants to be around sober people. At least, you know, you think, because this is what he tells you and this is what he does. But then he shows up at places where he's not supposed to be, and then he shows up at the same places drunk, and you're just like, bro, like, what are you doing, man? Like,
yeah,
what are you trying to do? You're trying to show us how cool you are. You're trying to show us how effed up you are in the head, that you need help. Like, do you want me to call you somebody? Like, what can we do for you, man? You know, like, oh, nothing, you know, nothing. No, I'm good. F everybody, you know. And he goes through the whole alcohol spiel, we'll call it, because I've done the same thing. I don't blame him, but I